So let's start with the Giants of Daniel Jones. Obviously, they get walloped by 40 on national television. I'm not going to overreact. I don't think that their season's doomed. Do I think they can still, be competitive? Yeah. I didn't have them as a playoff team anyway, or like borderline playoff team. I didn't have them as a contender anyway. I mean, 9-win team was kind of their ceiling, and I don't really think that changes. Maybe it goes down to 8 wins. I didn't have them winning that game anyway, but I didn't have them getting absolutely throttled by 40, right? That's not something that was predicted, right? If you look at them, there's a lot of things to like. Like in 2023 football, right? Offensive head coach. Good, we got that. Really, really good edge rusher, young, and we have a good guy up the middle as well. So we have 2 really nice pass rushers and one that can also stop the run in Dexter Lawrence, right? Check. Secondary is a little bit weak, but quarterback who, yes, limited, but in his prime and can move, right? You don't have to be special, but can you move a little bit? Are you good enough with some mobility in 2023? Yes, absolutely. Really good back out of the backfield, can catch the ball, can block, can run. Check. Speedster on the outside, Jalen Hyatt. Now I know he's unproven, but still has speed on the outside. Check. Right, so they have a lot of things to like star left tackle Andrew Thomas that they're now paying. Check. Right, like they have a lot of things that you would like in 2023 football. But I said this, I don't know, 7 starts into Daniel Jones' career. I mean for real. Pretty early in his career, even maybe when he was picked. I don't even remember that far back. But I said just be careful with average, right? We see the league now is the big swing, big miss, big swing type league, right? You take the big swing. If you miss, that's fine, but you pivot quickly, right? What you don't want to be is stuck in like this quarterback purgatory, right? Like the Raiders were in it for a while with Derek Carr, and I'm a Derek Carr fan. But how many times are you going to draft anywhere from 12 to 17, right? And just be like really, really average every year. Or like the Vikings to some extent are in this. And again, it's better than being terrible. But if being terrible can land you Caleb Williams or the Colts with Anthony Richardson, we saw him, flashes of greatness. There's an argument that would be better. And so now you get into this spot with Daniel Jones where it's like, he's really, really average. And you're like, okay, well, last time we saw him though, I mean, yes, granted they lost the playoff game. So I guess the last time we saw him win, against Minnesota, he looked really good, looked really competent. You have to remember, Minnesota's defense was awful last year. Daniel Jones had 17 touchdown passes. If you take away the 2 games against Minnesota, he had like 12. And what would that be? Like 16 games? Like that's not franchise quarterback level. And the problem is, this year right now, I have the numbers pulled up. He's making $15 million against the cap this year. It goes up to $47 million next year. Like, it doesn't, you're not going to be able to surround him with more talent. Like, this is the most talented roster that he's going to have. Now, they have a potential out after next year, but if you don't use that potential out, it's still $22 million the year after. And I know that's not that punitive, but this is the most talented roster he's going to have. And you could say, oh, you could backload some contract. Yeah, maybe. But $47 million next year, and if you move off of him after this year, it's a $70 million cap hit, dead cap hit. Right? So you're stuck with him for next year at $47 million, right? Like, so you're not going to be able to go out and acquire any more receiver talent. You're not going to be able to go out and get another corner. Like, you're not going to be able to go to get a safety. You have to hit on your draft picks, and you have to have those draft picks perform above value. Because as of right now, they're not. And you're seeing what's happening. This is the problem when you get average quarterbacks. And we saw it across the league. I'm not trying to, bang on Daniel Jones here. I mean, I guess I am, but it's not just him, right? We saw Kenny Pickett, who's, as of right now in his career, a very average quarterback. What happens when the game is sped up? You make bad decisions. Like, average quarterbacks, when the game is sped up, look like bad quarterbacks. Good and great quarterbacks are able to manage the speed of the game. Like Mahomes, no matter how much pressure you get on him, he's still going to be able to make plays. And I know he's an outlier. Tua, I don't even like Tua, but you saw Tua under pressure, stepping up in the pocket, making plays on the move. And I don't even think Tua's that good off script. But he's able to control the pace of the game. Herbert's the same way. Josh Allen didn't do a good job on Monday. Maybe he's closer to an average quarterback than we think. But that's what happens when you have an average quarterback and the game is sped up. It's very easy to get blown out. Kenny Pickett, Daniel Jones. It's very easy to throw 3 interceptions like a Josh Allen when you're a little bit erratic. Right? So the problem isn't this year. I think they're going to be fine. Do I think they're a Super Bowl contender? No, but I never did. Like it's not like I was like, oh, the Giants are going to the NFC Championship game. Oh, now they lost by 40, they're out. No, like they're the same team that we thought. But again, that's the problem with Daniel Jones. He can go beat up on Minnesota. But when you're facing the contenders of the NFC, AFC, whatever, when you're facing the top, I don't know, third of the league, and that game is sped up for you, Daniel Jones gets really bad really fast. And it's going to only get worse when you pay him $47 million next year. If I was the Giants, I'd look to get out of that contract by next year. I'd look to pay Saquon, backload that contract, and I would start over after next year. This year, I don't think it affects them much. Really, really big issue for next year for the Giants.
Yeah, it did not look good in the slightest. And I think one of the biggest things that you mentioned is getting pressure on those guys. The two teams, so the 49ers that played Kenny Pickett, and then the Cowboys that played the Giants. Look, like those are the best pass rushes in the NFL.
They're up there. I'd say Pittsburgh's also up there.
Yes.
But look how Brock Purdy handled that.
And
we think of Brock Purdy as a fairly average quarterback.
Ass off. He played his ass off. Made a lot of big-time throws. It's about performing against those great teams. It's about being able to take that pressure and actually thrive with it. When you pressure Mahomes, he is pinpoint.
He's significantly better against the blitz.
Yeah, there are a lot of quarterbacks out there that just can't handle it, and unfortunately, I think Kenny Pickett might be one of those guys. Now, it's a little too early to call, and it is week 1, and same thing with Daniel Jones, but I mean, we've never been big fans of Daniel Jones here. He's middle of the road, very middle of the road, but he's being paid like he's a top 8 quarterback, which is just absolute nonsense. Overall, horrible game from the Giants, and he needs to get that fixed quickly.
Yeah, I would agree.
All right, guys.